This mother, Abigail Martinez, lost her daughter, Ellie, and she's going to tell you what happened. This is also a situation in California. She has an accent, so it's probably better to read what she says in her testimony.
My name is Abigail Martinez. It has been 3 years and 164 days since I lost my daughter, Jane. I miss her every single day. Let me tell you how she died. My daughter was murdered by a gender ideology. CPS took my daughter when she was 16 years old. It was helped by her public school counselor and LGBTQ group rights and another trans-identified girl. My daughter was taken from her loving home because the state of California claimed I was abusive for not affirming her trans identity. I lost my daughter over a name and a pronouns. Even after I promised to call her a male name, it wasn't enough. My daughter was not a boy trapped in a girl. She had mental health issues. Against my consent, my daughter was given testosterone instead of therapy. The LGBTQ group used her to raise money for them. Look at the poor reject trans boy, they said. Why are there so many transgender in foster care? Because this state take them from their families, tell them to run, then steal them. Parents are given one option to treat their distressed child, affirm, drug, and remove their healthy body part, or else lose your child. The abuse claim against me was finally dropped, but it was too late. The damage was done. By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter knelt down in front of a train. She was murdered by gender ideology. I beg you, stop pushing gender ideology. I don't want any parent to feel what I feel. Every affirmation is not good for the health, safety, and welfare of any child.
Wow, we're going to stop it right there. Welcome, everyone. I'm Vince Revo. Welcome back to Man After God. And today we're diving into a story that's going to challenge everything you think you know about parental rights, government control, and the influence of gender ideology. Imagine your child like this poor woman being taken away because of a disagreement over gender ideology. It's hard to believe, but Abigail Martinez's story is real and it's heartbreaking. This is a must watch. So stick to the end of this and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you agree or disagree, but that's irrelevant. You may choose to share whatever you think is right. But I'm inviting you and I'm challenging you to share your perspective on this. And in the end, if you think I'm wrong, or if you think Frank is wrong, then change our minds. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a real conversation about this because I think it's definitely needed. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay informed and see more videos like this. These are critical issues, and I think we need to discuss these. The government intervening around gender ideology is incredibly painful, especially if you're a parent. You know, in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Parents are called by God to nurture, instruct, and protect their children in a Christ-centered way. The government is not called to do this. And when the state overrides this God-given role, it disrupts a natural biblical order, risking spiritual and emotional harm. Let's continue, and we'll get back to my commentary as well.
So the state of California took this child, put her in a halfway house, began to transition her, assuming her mother was abusing her because she didn't agree with gender-affirming care. So the state of California became her parent. And from that point, she spiraled out of control to the point that she knelt before an oncoming train. And you know who champions this? Joe Biden came out on so-called Trans Visibility Day, March 31st. It was either 2022 or 2023, and basically said that his administration considered taking children from their parents who didn't agree with gender-affirming care, which is a euphemism for saying, we're going to put your kid on hormone blockers, cross-sex hormones, and maybe even give that kid surgery against your will. The so-called Equality Act that the Democrats have been trying to pass forever. If Kamala Harris wins and there's a Democrat House and Senate, the Equality Act will basically nationalize this. And you at work, you're going to have to go along, or you could lose your job, you could be fined, who knows, maybe even imprisoned, because that's what the so-called Equality Act will do. You know, good laws are shields. You know what a shield is? A shield is the First Amendment. A shield says the government can't tell you that you can't say something. You have the right to free speech. Government can't prohibit your religious expression or your ability to associate. Can't tell the press what to do, although lately it's been telling the press what to do by censoring people they don't like. That's what a shield does. It shields you from the government so you can practice the rights that you have. But a law that is a sword is the Equality Act. The Equality Act would hurt you if you tried to exercise those religious rights that you have, or free speech rights that you have, or the right that you have, the parental right that you have to bring up your child without cross-sex hormones or surgery. You see the difference between a good law and a bad law? A good law is a shield, a bad law is a sword, where the government, the power of government, would usurp the rights you already have and in some way punish you and your child for not agreeing with their radical gender ideology. Parent.
This is a battle, and I know that Trump has won, thank God, but this is a battle that all of us are in right now. You know, Abigail's daughter reportedly struggled with this mental health issue, and yet instead of receiving psychotherapy, she was given hormones. And the Bible reminds us that true healing comes from God. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And while mental health support is important, ultimate peace is found in Christ. And Christian counseling should be a means to address both mental and spiritual components of our struggles, helping draw people closer to God. And I know that we are in a mental health craze right now where everything is mental health. Before you turn to that, though, I challenge you in your families, with your children, with those you love the most, go to God. See what God can do. See the healing that God can do. And the state's influence over personal beliefs and parental rights is significant here. California pushing ideology through actions that align with broader political agendas shouldn't be condoned. The Bible tells us to not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Paul reminds us in Romans that Christians are called to live according to God's truths, even if they stand in contrast to cultural trends. And I know it is trending. It is trending to be woke, but it's not godly. It is not good. Abigail's pain in losing her daughter reflects the reality of suffering in this world affected by brokenness and sin and death. Jesus acknowledges suffering and offers comfort. Jesus says to you, my friends, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. This passage invites those suffering from cultural, social, mental, or family pain to seek solace in Christ, the ultimate source of our peace. In fact, he is our Prince of Peace. This call for compassion and truth is evident in Abigail's plea. And all of us, Christians, and maybe even non-Christians, but your parents, and you don't want your child taken away from you, are called to speak the truth in love, not with judgment, but with compassion. Abigail's story urges us to support those struggling with issues of identity while also holding fast to biblical truths about humanity and dignity. And friends, you know, there's hope. I know that it looks bleak right now. Well, we know that Trump has been elected, and there's hope, at least for the next 4 years. Hopefully, God willing, he's alive to see those 4 years. But Jesus ultimately is our hope. His finished work on the cross offers hope and healing, identity, and purpose and meaning beyond any ideology that this world will feed you. He can turn your brokenness into blessings, our suffering into salvation, our fear into faith, our confusion into clarity. And that ultimately Jesus brings ultimate freedom, peace, and true identity that cannot be found anywhere else.